Nayak today from Consistency Collective. My name is Jennifer Zarin, if you don't know me, and I'm the writer and founder of Journal Your Path on Substack, which is an international and intergenerational journaling newsletter and community. We have monthly journaling circles over Zoom, virtual confidential spaces. The next one is May 28th, and you can sign up and register for free. It's open to all subscribers this month at my publication Journal Your Path. And I want to that's it for me for this morning. Well, it's morning here in New York. I want to toss it over to Tina. Welcome, Tina. I'm so excited for this conversation today. Please tell us about yourself.
First of all, Jennifer, thank you so much for having me on this live, and I'm super excited to be here too. Hi, I'm Tina. I have lived in like 3 countries, and I have my own publication called the Consistency Collective, where I go behind the scenes on what it takes to truly be consistent. I think we live in a very performative world where everybody is perfect, at least that's what it seems. But what I have learned about consistency is that it's anything but that. So today you're fine, tomorrow you're not, but you still can get consistency. You still can get consistent, and that's what Consistency Collective is all about. And I'm doing a live experiment where I document my failures, my wins, the habits I have, the habits I let go. And that's it. And I'm also building a habit companion app to help women document and get consistent, reflect, and so that when they look back, they can actually see how far they have come, because we always remember the things that we're not good at, what we failed at, but there's less evidence about it. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later. So, thank you.
Yes. Yes. So you mentioned the app that you've built, and I'm part of the beta group, right? Right
Yes.
now. Habit Capsules is the name of the app. And it's such an honor to be a part of this group with this group of women who it's just such a supportive community you're building. I love that every Monday you encourage us, what's your intention for the week? And it's not
Yeah.
the 20 things you're doing this week, because who needs that? Yes, we have our day to days, we have work, we have, for parents or caregivers, all the little things we need to do, but it's what is your one intention, something you really want to like center this week? So for me, yesterday, I think I posted today, I was a day late, but that's okay. I
Yeah.
said, I want to meditate more this week, every single day, at least 5 minutes, some deep breathing. And I did it on the way after I dropped my son off from school this morning. I did the breathing in 4 and then out 5 on the count. And I felt a difference immediately. And I did
Right.
that because I posted this morning that I'm gonna meditate. So I'm so grateful to you that that you've built this habit capsules and you're opening it up to women. There's a private WhatsApp group where we state our intention for the week. And I know you also
Right.
have a chat in your publication for that as well, right?
Right. 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 So, for those who want to join the app, it's in beta, so we're building with women, and you're once you go through the onboarding, set your habit capsules like you did, and you. So the way I look at habits is more about promises that you make to yourself, and if we look at, oh, I want to get consistent, I want to do yoga every day, or so you think about a promise you've made. I want to get active, I want to be fit, I want to be more mindful. And then it's just a little habit capsule is basically the smallest unit of action that you promise yourself you will do on your busiest of days. So that's important.
Mhm.
The busiest of
Yes.
days is the key. And it is so embarrassingly small that you say, oh, I don't have time to just breathe 3 times, for example.
Mhm. Right.
So you may find ways to make time for these little actions and behavior, which eventually compound. And a lot of habit advice that we have received and read are actually written by men. And I have found that it doesn't really take into account the context of a woman's life, which has so many roles, so many different angles, and we sometimes don't have predictable schedules. So, and I of course do that in my chat as well for all my subscribers who subscribe to Consistency Collective. I'm just getting started, so I'm trying to find my rhythm, and hopefully my goal is I can help more people, especially women, get consistent and keep the promises they make to themselves.
I love that. And I really do feel that desire to help more people, especially women. And your publication is open to men as well. And I know you said you have men who also subscribe because and so they can read your
Right.
words of encouragement and really you're sharing with us your experiment, as you mentioned, of how it's going for you. And it's something you've been working on for a long time. So before we went live today, and of course, this is my newsletter and community, it's all about journaling with some personal essay thrown in there too.
Yes.
But so we are going to, I'd love to ask you about how journaling has affected the development of the app and this community that you're building and also what your let's start there. Let's start there.
Yeah.
And what your journaling practice
So,
is, which it's interwoven. Yeah.
yes, definitely. So, when I first thought of journaling, I do want to share this because first I thought, how can I write something? What if someone reads? What if, how can I write things that I feel about? And then through my early journaling practice, I realized that I was so afraid to see my own emotions in
Mm.
written format. And I was scared of being seen by myself. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
It's,
do. Yeah, there's yes. Say more.
but, and that's how I started. And I was scared. I was ashamed. I was scared of my own judgment. And I think
Mhm.
we internalize everyone's opinions, judgments, views about, and then eventually they become your own, and you start seeing these things in your head that, oh, this is not right. Oh, how can you do this?
Mhm.
And then once I started journaling, and I think it peaked when I lost my parents in 2020. My mom passed away in
Mm.
February, dad passed away in July, and I couldn't see my dad in the middle of COVID. So it was a very hard year, and it was
Yes.
also a year that truly changed me. And my parents died, but a new Tina was born. And the whole feeling of losing my roots, my foundation, the fear of going back home and not being, no one being there to receive you. I'm the only child. And
I was just
so
thinking I was that you must be an only child. Yes. Yes.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was important. And to have to go through all of that, first of all, I didn't expect it to come so soon. So, grief was an important life event that really helped me unpack. And I started reading, I went back to our, Indian ancient books. There's this book called Bhagavad Gita, which is called
Mm.
it's like a book of life. Like it grows with you. It has advice for how to deal with many kinds of situations. And I was reading that. I was writing my interpretations of what came with it, and that's how I actually found myself. And now, and over the years, it has evolved into acts of self-awareness, like I did this, I did not do something that I promised myself. And I was
Mhm.
started using it as a way to observe my own behavior. And when I started doing that, I realized that there were so many things that were going right, but my brain wasn't really bringing that forward. So then I realized I was remembering all the things I didn't do, but I wasn't remembering the things that I did well. Then I started using journaling to write that down, collect that evidence so that in moments when, your inner demon comes with all the facts that, you didn't show up for, look, I
Mhm.
showed up here.
Yes. Mhm.
And that's how I use journaling too, and that's how Consistency Collective and the app was born. And yeah, that's really how I use journaling now, and it has been life changing. It has just changed the way I look at myself, look at people, look at situations. It's just a perfect perspective change.
Yeah, and it's I'm so glad that you used that word evidence because it's so true. We have the negativity bias. Our
Yes.
brains, it's because it's our roots, the roots are in survival when so it was, many, many thousands of years ago, if we're being chased by a lion, what, saber-tooth lion, I think that's always the example. And so it's very important to remember that, oh, I almost, because I wasn't aware, I almost was eaten by that lion, right? And
Yes.
was more important for us, this survival instinct. It still kicks in, even though we're not being chased. Sometimes anxiety feels like that, which is it's so incredible that it has those roots, and it's very I'm losing the word, but yes, it just comes from all those thousands of years, millions, I mean, way, way back, right? And so I love that you started to use your journal to collect that evidence. Like this is what's going right. This is what's working. And I love if I can find the book very
Sure.
quickly, I will show it. Oh, there it is. Your Brain on Ink. Um, so since you mentioned that, and then I want to go back to your story and learn more about the habit, like I know about it, but so you can share more about habit capsules. So the book is called Your Brain on Ink by Deborah Ross
Hmm.
and Kathleen Adams. They are in the field of journal therapy, which is although my journaling circles are not therapy, there's a therapeutic undercurrent to them, and
For
they
sure.
are facilitators, and they also teach at the Therapeutic Writing Institute about they teach journal therapy and expressive writing, and they wrote this book together, and it's all about it's this the subtitle is a workbook on neuroplasticity and the journal ladder. And I highly recommend people checking it out because it goes into like why when Tina uses evidence, she used that evidence and she showed to herself what's working, why that's so important. So let me throw it back to you though. So that's your story of how this came about. And I also want to say that to lose your parents, both of them within the span of what less than 6 months is very tough, especially, much earlier than you thought. I we shared recently, I also lost my parents in my 30s,
I'm so
young-ish,
sorry.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for you, and it's just but, and I also felt my mom went first, that it was everything in my life was, like, before with my mom,
Hmm.
and then after. If so when you something you shared really resonated with me, and also it's this that from grief, while it is when you love someone so much, and
Yeah.
it's especially even your parents brought you into the world, right? It's shattering. And you took this moment and made it. And from this moment of, grew this beautiful community and this app to help others. So I think that's beautiful. And there's so many more words I can put on that. It's inspiring. I think it's the best of humanity when we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. And I'm gonna tear up now. And I'd love to hear more
Yeah. You
about
know,
yes. about
So
that. Yeah.
Jennifer, you were talking about negativity bias, and
Yes.
for those who are listening now and also later in the recording, I think this is an interesting and important piece of research. I think that
Hmm.
changed the way I look at any negative event that happens. There is this psychologist called Roy Baumeister, and the book Power of Bad. Unfortunately, the book is in my living room. Highly recommend read. He brought about in his research that it takes 4 good incidents to set off one bad one. So if you
Yes.
say I did not show up for my workout, that's why streaks
Hmm.
are so overpowering, because it's you break one streak and you see that one streak and you don't see everything that you showed up for. So just remember this: whenever you have a bad incident, that power of bad is so overpowering, and you will need
Hmm.
4 positive ones to
Yeah.
set it off. And once you know this, you just know how
Yeah.
your brain behaves and responds to negative stimuli. And that is power. And that you
Yes.
can use in so many ways to change the way you look at situations, to change the way you look at yourself and even others, right? So,
Yes. And I think, so it's The Power of Habit, which, right,
power
that
of
book.
bad.
Oh, The Power of Bad, because there is another book about habits. I have The Power of Bad. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying. I've actually heard, because I think there's a lot of research on this. I've heard it's even higher, not to be a downer, but that it could be as much as for every five, for every, I've heard it anywhere from 5 to 7 times.
I wouldn't be surprised at
Anyway,
all.
yeah. For every
That was
one, you
research
need
done.
5 to 7 of the positives. That's what I'm trying to say. And but the point is,
It's still more
whether
than
it's
one.
between, yes, it's more than one. So it's like when you get in a fight, with someone, and you remember, sometimes it's
Right.
like we forget that we, especially if it's a partner, or we sometimes we like momentarily forget all the things we love about this person, and it's just, it's, yeah. Or getting feedback, I know, at work sometimes can be challenging for people, even if
Yes.
it's mainly positive. How many times has someone, like, I'm, fixated on, like, well, but my boss said this and this and this, and it's all the positives kind of go out the window. So it's such a great reminder. And
Absolutely. And
yeah.
especially in today's world, you're
Mhm.
surrounded by, social media, then of
Yes.
course feedback
Mhm.
at work, you're getting unsolicited feedback from
Yes.
everyone. How do you really manage that? So this would
Uh,
be helpful.
There was also something you said earlier that, it just reminded me, because you said a lot of the research has been done by men, which is still
Hmm.
true, although it's not. And also the research, I remember, originally research on any medical, diseases or ailments, and it was all, the subjects were always men, for many, many
Yes.
years. And so we weren't
Yes.
getting an accurate read of, okay, what is actually helpful for women, because our bodies are different. We go through several major changes that men will never experience. We
Right.
have the ability to give life. We go through, from puberty through menopause, and
Tell me
and
about
that
it.
that yes, that really changes, something that's going to work for, someone, a man, or someone who, isn't necessarily going to work for a woman.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think about it. Like, when I started, the reason I wanted to build this app and specifically for women was I feel the way I like to look at it is women have beautifully complex lives. We are
Yes.
caregivers,
Hmm.
we're working, we are managing homes, we
Mm.
juggle, we are multitaskers, though there's multitasking is debatable. um, and
Yes.
and of course the hormonal changes and all of that. We don't have a set schedule. Like for my husband to understand what perimenopause is has been very challenging. And it's just so difficult because for them every day is similar. They can say no to so many of the responsibilities that I cannot say no to, and it becomes so difficult otherwise. And it's important to take this context into your life, into the fact that today was not a good day and it was completely okay to not show up for your habits today, but let's come back tomorrow or maybe day after. And sometimes, and I think that's where accountability and being surrounded by women who are in a very similar setup, and where you don't have to explain all of these things and you see someone else showing up, that becomes a positive signal. And you're like, okay, I can do it too. Let me write down a little note and let me
Mhm.
put down a little picture. And all of these, I've tried to build it into the app so that you can actually collect evidence in less than 30 seconds.
Yes. And
Yeah,
bringing it back to journaling a bit more,
yeah,
I have a kind of a list of questions I like to ask everyone.
sure.
So we did cover, well, what is your journaling practice today? And it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
every day, right? That's
You're right.
I think,
It's
but
not.
what
I
does it look
try.
like today or weekly, monthly, whatever that means for you?
Yeah. So my ideal journaling practice is like I finish my workout in the morning and then I will take my cup of coffee and I will take my journal and sit down. But that does not happen. Every morning
Mhm.
has its surprises. So that's
Yes.
my ideal. So if I'm lucky, I do it once or twice a week. But I have this. So I was traveling to Japan last October and I bought this journal. I don't know if you can see this too much light, but it's a
Yes,
five-year
but I see
journal.
yes. In
Can
fact,
you
we were
see it
just
now?
talking about this. I can see the different years. Yes. 5-year
Yeah,
journal.
and so basically it has all these little spaces
Hmm.
that you can go for 5 years. And I thought 2026 was perfect because then it ends in 2030. And I bought this. So now I do that try to do that every night. I would say even though I run Consistency Collective, I never do things every day. It is humanly impossible. So,
Okay.
and that's what I like to share more. You can't, and that's what I do every day. And I have these pens that
Mhm.
it's important for me to excite myself. So I have all these different pens. So every area of my life is a
Yeah.
color, and that's how
Yes. Yeah, me
I
too.
get
I have my
creative
pens
into.
here.
Oh, there you
Oh, my
go.
little pens and my pen,
Isn't it
just
so much
this was my
fun to do
mom's
it with?
little just pen. It was,
Oh,
pen holder that I made into a pen holder. Yeah.
that is so
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
So my journaling
Yeah.
book is very colorful. So
Hmm.
depending on what's the focus that day, I like the so my daughter is studying in Washington. Now she's visiting home. So one of the days I just wrote, today my daughter called. I'm very happy. That's my journaling post because teenagers hardly
Yeah.
call you.
Yes. Yes. And you remember when you look back in 2030, like what was I doing on May 12th in 2026 or whenever that, those you'll see that. And that will
Right.
probably just reading those two lines will bring it's like you can feel that happiness, from reflecting on something from a few years ago or from yesterday or, whenever it is. And I also recently bought a 5-year journal and have gone in. I had
Awesome.
into it last night, but I my practice is I try to do it most days, even if it's only for like 5 or 10 minutes. I think timed writing, I've spoken about this before, is so important. It's such a great tool we have. So if you want to get to the page to your journal, but you feel like, oh, I have no time today. Okay, set a timer for 5 minutes and write for 5 minutes. It can be
Right.
to a prompt. there are a lot of prompts on Journal Your Path, and or it can be starting with something like my body needs to say, or what I need most now is, or what I want to say most now is. It could be something as simple as that, or even if you feel like you want to tap into your identity a little more, starting with I am and repeating
Yeah.
that over and over again for 5 minutes and see what comes out without limiting yourself. But anyway, so that's something for just every day. But I love the 5-year journal because it's also become a night ritual, and I I just started it maybe last week, so it is very new. So
Right.
you're further ahead than I am, Tina, with this. But I
I
like
wouldn't
it
say
because, well,
that.
it's so because it's just a few lines, and
Yeah.
it's very contained, purposefully so, and it's a nice way to, like, close out my day. Sometimes I include gratitude. I see also,
Yeah, I
someone
think
wrote, it's
lit
cut off,
ladies.
but I use it on my phone. Can you see
Yeah, it's
um,
a lit
the
lady
whole
says, I really like the 5 minute journal app, not free. I use it on my phone. It has great prompts and you can customize your own prompts as well. That's
Okay,
amazing.
so
I
that's,
actually did
yeah,
not
I
know
didn't
they
know
had
about
an
that.
app, but I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
another resource, yes, and also please check out the prompts and journal your path, but there's so much, a lot of people, whatever works for you. If you prefer to write in your, use it on your phone. There is something, if you can, for accessibility. Some people have to type, but if you can write in a journal, there is research that that act of
Yes.
writing and actually slows you down a little bit, and that can be very helpful as well. And you can tune in a different type of way from that slowing down process. But I love that the 5 minute journal app. I love that recommendation. Thank you, Lit Lady. So
Yeah.
I want to throw it
So
back to you again. Yes, Tina, please.
no, I just wanted to ask, since we were talking about consistency, like I mean, you're an expert journal uh, person and you've been journaling for a while. And how do you bring about, like, how do you follow self awareness or, like tracking your consistency or anything around evidence building, inner demon, inner what?
Hmm.
Inner guide, as I call it.
Yes,
If there's anything you can share, I would love to have that and probably share it with my community as well.
sure. So I hear a few questions, possible questions in there. I'm gonna choose one lane just to focus. So
Sure.
we spoke about journaling a lot, and I want to bring it back to your community and the Habit Capsules app and the community on, um, so yes, I do this journaling, especially at night. It's a way to really reflect on the day. And one thing that I've noticed is I might write a few lines of anything that happened that day after my morning journaling, if I even had a chance to journal that morning,
Hmm.
at least for 5 minutes. And then I write a line of gratitude usually, because that's, especially if it's been a stressful day, find that on
Right.
those days I want to remember and really lean into that gratitude more, because there's a lot to be grateful for. Even in this chaotic, kind of messed up world we're living in,
Sure.
there's still gratitude, there's still that exists. And I try not to always write the same thing too. So sometimes it's, because it could always be my son and my partner, my husband, my family, my friend. It could always be that, and it is always that. And sometimes it can be a small thing, like the way the sun peeked through the clouds, the walk home from drop off, and I felt the warmth of the sun on my face, and in that moment, everything felt right. Everything felt like,
Right.
okay, whatever was just happening this morning with trying to get my 3-year-old out the door, I'm okay in this moment. Um,
That's
does that
so
answer
nice.
your question? Because I don't know
Yeah,
if it does. Um,
I'm glad you brought this up because there are days I'm very angry and I can't. I
Mhm.
know I am definitely grateful for my health, for everything's there, but sometimes it's just so hard to find things.
Yeah.
Not that not to be grateful for, but it's just like to get out of the anger or the sadness and then to focus. So I thought that was very interesting.
Thanks. And being a part of the community through Habit Capsules and what you're building has been, like I said at the very beginning, for people who just joined us more recently, it has been like it's still new to me. I think I've been on with the community for maybe a few weeks now, so it still feels new, but I feel the support of the group and this container, this safe container that you've built, which is not easy to build, online, right? And that because like you referred to, you mentioned earlier, because other people are doing it too. There's that accountability piece, but not in a shaming way. That's the difference that I know you've also
Right.
highlighted is we're about compassion here and holding each other accountable. And I got I think, is it every week or every other week we get the notices in our email about how we're doing, how many.
Yeah, we just
Can you
started
say
that.
more
That's a
about
new
that?
feature.
Yes. Okay. So I think
Yes.
I
Please go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, so what is it called? Is it excuse me, a habit capsule snapshot or
Actually, snapshot is a great word. We're still developing, so it's like we call it the weekly report. We come from the
that's
startup world,
yeah.
so everything's a report
Mhm.
for us.
Right.
I think we need to get a little more compassionate about like how to choose the words properly. But yeah, it's basically every week you fill in, it takes less than 15-20 seconds to fill every
Mhm.
day.
Every
And you
day,
can, of
yes.
course, journal. There is a space for gratitude. There is a space for notes to yourself. You can write love notes. You can put in a picture. And every week we send that week's snapshot down
Mhm.
to you, like this is how far you've come. We also try to surface some themes that are once we see like, okay, days you did journaling, you also did this, and that kind of brings focus to what's happening. And also it shares all your pictures, so you can just see how
Mhm.
far you've come in just a week. And the more it starts building, because scientifically the more you see things, your brain knows. And if you're showing up for yourself and putting those little entries, or whether it's journaling or however you do it, you're sending a signal to the brain that this is important for me, please make time for it. And after a
Yes.
few weeks, you will start seeing that you're missing it. And that's when you know your
Mhm.
consistency journey has begun. But of course, consistency is not a thing you can check off, it's a lifelong thing. And that's where you need the support you need to be there.
Yes. And there was a stat that you shared with us. I think it was 76% that
Hmm.
if you name your intention, if you share an intention with at least one other person, right? Was
Yeah,
that the
there's
research
70.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a research by Dr. Gail, I forget her last name. Um, and every time you share, even with one person or in a group, the chances of you actually doing that goes up to as high as 76%. And the whole science behind this is you make it loud, you see it, so your thoughts now have a physical structure because you're reading it, and it
Mhm.
just becomes so real that it's your brain is like, okay, this is something that I need to do. And it shows up, and then you just need a little
Mhm.
reminders here and there, like the phone
Yes.
notifications, but you try to replace that with something else. And
Or
everything that we are doing has behavior science attached to it, so that's the beauty of it. So none of this is
mhm.
fictitious. Everything is like, there's research, if you do this, this will happen.
Yes, I love that you've definitely done your research. I see that in the app and with the research you share with us through the app, and I'm sure in consistency collective,
I know
um
that's tongue
in your
twister.
Substack newsletter as well. I know you share research sometimes too. and your
Yes.
own experience. And you're letting us in on what's working for you, and that the ongoing process for you, and that's it's so valuable, you know.
Right. And I think just one thing I'd like to add. I think it's so, 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 so important to be kind to yourself in this journey, because consistency
Hmm.
is also a hard journey. And with everything that happens, it's you have to remind yourself to be kind. And that's what I like to call compassionate consistency. So it's not like you're like, I didn't do it today.
Yeah, I love that compassionate consistency. You're probably familiar with Kristen Neff and self-compassion, maybe.
No,
If you're
actually.
not, check her out. She's the main person when I hear she's written a lot on self-compassion. She's a psychologist, a researcher, I believe. Kristen Neff, Neff. And
NEFF.
if you
Okay.
just Google her, she'll come up right away.
Yeah, I'll do
During
that next.
COVID, I took an online like brief course with her, which really it was always something that was on my radar, especially as my background is as a creative arts therapist as well, therapeutic writing, and then pivoting to journaling, facilitation, and expressive writing, but still therapeutic writing really. But it's something that I also like. I feel it from you too. I bring to my journaling circles, workshops, courses, that piece, that lens of self-compassion, or what you call
Hmm.
compassionate consistency. Yes, compassion
Yes,
consistency. Because it is so easy for us to beat ourselves up for, especially women. I think there's a
it's a
lot
one
of
thing.
cultural that,
Yes,
yeah, I mean,
baggage.
baggage, yes. There's another word that is not coming to me right now. Conditioning, cultural conditioning
Conditioning,
around
of
that. People
course.
pleasing, and it does come up a lot more with women. So bringing that piece of compassion for ourselves and others too.
Yes.
It's
It always starts with yourself. If you're kinder,
mhm,
you love
yes,
yourself more. And that's always a hard thing for me.
yeah,
And that's where
mm,
journaling has been really, really helpful.
yes. Showing the evidence, seeing the evidence for yourself. That's a way you can also gift yourself that compassion is writing it out. And how powerful we spoke about how writing things out, whether it's in an app or in a journal, with your favorite pen or writing instrument, how there how that makes a lasting impression, within, because you're writing it down. You're really taking the time, and it's signaling to your brain that, oh, this is important. And so
Absolutely.
to close out, again, I see some people just joined. I'm with Tina Nayak from Consistency Collective. Any last words for us today before we close out? And again, thank you so much for this chat. It's been wonderful to talk with you.
Um,
No
Thank
pressure.
you again. Thank you again for having me
Sure.
here. I mean, if I, consistency is a hard journey and it's a long-term
Mm,
journey. I think that's the thing that needs to be remembered. You never achieve it at all. So you have to keep going and just be kind to yourself. Remind that, be surrounded by women or people who remind you and you're comfortable. I think this is the only reminder. And don't forget about the 1:4 or 1:7 ratio of the power of bad. It takes at least four
mhm,
positive experiences to set off one bad experience. I think that's
mm,
the one thing I like to tell everyone, because I've suffered so much with the negativity focus, that this is one single fact that has truly made a difference in my life. And if anybody wants to come join the beta for, I'd be more than happy to just let me know you heard it on Journal Your Path. You'll get a front row ticket. And if that's okay, can I leave a link to the
yes,
page?
please do. Yes.
I'll do that on the chat.
Okay. All right. And then you can also say it. It's beta.habitcapsules.com. And it's
That's correct.
open to women, right? Or women identified individuals. Yes.
That is correct. So
Okay.
we have a WhatsApp, invite only WhatsApp group. So once you fill in, of course, if you're interested in trying the app, anyone can try it. But the WhatsApp group is open to women or those who identify as women.
Okay. Thank you, Tina. Have a great week, everyone. And remember to be kind to yourself, as Tina very lovingly reminded us today. And please check out her publication if you don't already subscribe. It's Consistency Collective.
That is
Thanks.
correct.
Bye, Tina.
Thanks. I wish you all a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.